Your hands ached before you even got out of bed this morning, didn't they? That dull stiffness in your knuckles, the slow, careful way you had to flex your fingers before they'd fully obey you. My child, stay with me for a moment because I know exactly what these hands of yours have carried, and I know exactly how tired they have become. Before this prayer ends tonight, I am going to tell you precisely what these hands have earned the right to finally set down. Stay with me until the end, because you need to hear every piece of it, not just the beginning. These are not ordinary hands. These are hands that have worked for decades, cooking meals, holding babies, building homes, planting gardens, signing paychecks, wiping tears, folding laundry, gripping steering wheels through storms, holding another hand through the hardest nights of a life. These hands have done more quiet, unnoticed labor than almost anything else about you, and they have rarely, if ever, been thanked for it. Now they ache. Now they stiffen in the cold mornings. Now a jar lid feels like a small mountain. A button feels like a puzzle. A signature feels like an effort your hands never used to think twice about. And somewhere in the middle of all that aching, you have quietly stopped, expecting anyone to notice, let alone honor what these particular hands have given. Today, I want to tell you something I need you to carry with you. I am healing your tired hands tonight. Not simply the ache in the joints, though I see that too, but the deeper weariness in the parts of you that have given and given and given for so long, without ever being asked what they might need in return. You may have clicked on this video simply looking for something soothing to fall asleep to tonight, and if that's true, I welcome you exactly as you are. But I suspect some part of you clicked because your hands quite literally ache tonight, and some part of you hoped, even quietly, that someone might actually notice. I see the calluses that formed over years of honest work. I see the small scars from kitchens, workshops, gardens, and job sites. I see the trembling that has crept in where steadiness used to live without a second thought. None of it has ever gone unnoticed by me, even on the days it goes entirely unnoticed by everyone else. If you can hear my voice tonight, do one thing for me. Type Amen, heal my tired hands, in the comments below. Let it be your way of telling me that you're still here, still working, still giving, even when your hands ache far more than you ever let on. And if this message found you tonight, subscribe and turn on the bell beside my name. I bring a new message of healing every single morning and every single night, because a body that has worked as hard as yours does not rest all at once. It rests gradually, gently, exactly the pace I already know it truly needs. Stay with me a little longer before we go further, because what I want to show you next is everywhere I have seen these hands of yours living out a lifetime of quiet love. Now, my child, let me tell you everywhere I have seen these tired hands of yours. I see your hands aching before you've even opened your eyes fully in the morning, a stiffness that has become the very first sensation of each new day. I see your hands trembling slightly as you try to thread a needle or fasten a small button, frustrated by fingers that no longer move with the ease they once did. I see the calluses on your palms built over decades of honest labor, a trade, a farm, a factory floor, a kitchen counter, proof of a lifetime spent working rather than watching. I see your hands aching to hold a grandchild a little longer, but tiring faster than your heart is willing to admit, cutting a precious moment shorter than you wanted. I see your hands struggling with the garden you used to tend so easily, kneeling less, reaching less, watching more of the work now happen from a chair nearby. I see your fingers struggling against a stubborn jar lid, or a key that used to turn without a second thought, frustrated by a strength that quietly slipped away somewhere along the years. I see your hand cramping after writing just a single signature, though it once wrote countless letters, cards, and notes without a moment's complaint. I see your hands aching with both grief and arthritis when you reach for a hand that is no longer there to hold back. I see your hands that fed a family faithfully for decades, growing too tired some nights to cook the way you once loved to. I see you glancing at the marks and scars across your hands, feeling a little self-conscious about how different they look now compared to years ago. I see your hands that once played an instrument or shaped a craft with such fluid ease, moving more slowly, now grieving a skill that used to come so naturally. I see your hands folded in prayer each night, tired from the day, finding a strange, quiet comfort in simply holding that familiar position. I see your hands gripping a steering wheel a little more tensely than they used to, less steady than the years when driving felt effortless. I see your hands that held tools of your trade for so many years, a hammer, a needle, a pen, a stethoscope, now aching in the exact places that labor once demanded most. I see your hands clenched tightly through the day from worry you didn't even realize you were carrying in your own fingers and knuckles. I see your hands struggling with child-proof caps on medicine bottles, an indignity that feels small until it happens for the third time in 1 week. I see your hands typing or texting more slowly now, frustrated by fingers that no longer obey the instant commands they used to follow so easily. I see your hands folded quietly in your lap through long hospital waiting rooms, worrying over someone you love more than yourself. I see your hands that once planted a garden every single spring, now watching from a window as someone else does the digging you used to enjoy. I see your hand reaching for a cane or a railing you never used to need, an adjustment that still catches you off guard some mornings. I see your hands working through physical therapy exercises, frustrated at how slowly the progress comes compared to how quickly the ability once left. I see your hands, that used to easily carry a week's groceries or a sleepy grandchild, now needing help with both more often than you'd like to admit. I see your hands folded during a quiet moment of doubt, wondering if something as ordinary as tired hands could really matter to me at all. I see your hands rubbing against each other for warmth on a cold morning, the stiffness taking longer to fade than it once did. I see your hands after a lifetime of hugs, meals, labor, and love freely given quietly, wondering if they have finally earned permission to simply rest. I see your hands that once knitted or crocheted a blanket for every new baby in the family, now set aside the yarn, waiting patiently for fingers that tire faster than they used to. I see your hands shaking slightly as you pour a hot cup of coffee or tea, more careful now than the years when steadiness was never something you had to think about. I see your hands that once fixed a leaky faucet or a squeaky hinge without a second thought, now reaching for the phone to call someone else for a job you used to simply handle yourself. I see your hands that used to fill a journal or a diary every night, growing tired, now after only a few lines, the thoughts still full, even when the grip grows weak. I see your hands folded at a funeral, comforting someone else's grief, while quietly carrying your own weariness that no one thought to ask about that day. I see your hands that once painted or drew with such steady confidence, frustrated now by lines that waver where they used to run so true. I see your hands gripping a shopping cart a little tighter than necessary, using it now for balance as much as for carrying what you came to buy. I see your hands struggling with a task as small as braiding a granddaughter's hair, a simple motion that used to be so effortless, now requiring a patience your fingers ask of you. I see your hands resting on a worn Bible each night, tracing familiar words by feel more than by sight, finding comfort in a book your hands know almost as well as your heart does. I see your hands packing a lighter suitcase now or asking for help, lifting the heavier one, travel, requiring a new kind of planning your younger hands never had to consider. I see your hands resting quietly during a favorite old movie, remembering how someone else's hand used to hold yours through every familiar scene. I see your hands moving more slowly and carefully with a paring knife, now a task that used to be so quick, becoming something you focus on with real attention. I see your hands stiffening after holding a hymn book or a church bulletin through a long service, the grip aching by the final page. I see your hands missing the workshop tools that once shaped wood into furniture, the sawdust, and the specific tiredness of good, honest work, now more memory than routine. I see your hands massaging each other softly at night out of pure habit, quietly soothing an ache you've stopped mentioning to anyone but yourself. I see your hands handing the Christmas wrapping over to someone younger this year, a small task you once did for the entire family, now passed along with a mix of relief and quiet loss. I see your hands trembling slightly as you sign a card with love, the emotion in the words and the age in your fingers both showing through the same few strokes of ink. I see your hands folded in gratitude even on the days the pain feels loudest, choosing thankfulness anyway without anyone ever asking you to. I see your hands folded during communion, feeling both the frailty of age and the steadiness of faith in the very same quiet moment. I see your hands writing a check or filling out a form, a little embarrassed by handwriting that shakes more than it used to, hoping no one else notices as much as you do. I see your hands caring for a spouse now in ways that echo the very same care they once gave a newborn decades ago. Love simply changing shape rather than fading. I see your hands reaching to catch something falling and missing more often than they used to, reflexes that once moved without a thought, now needing an extra beat to respond. I see your hands applying lotion each night to skin grown dry and cracked, a small nightly ritual of tending to what has served you so faithfully for so long. I see your hands that once typed for decades on a typewriter or a keyboard at work feeling unfamiliar and clumsy, now against the smooth glass of a smartphone screen. I see your hands reaching out to accept help rising from a chair, a quiet role reversal from all the years you spent being the one who helped others up instead. I see your hands still reaching out warmly to shake a new friend's hand, despite the effort it costs, because connection still matters more to you than comfort. Dual. I see your hands folded quietly each night, praying for your children and grandchildren by name, a private ritual no one else ever sees you keep. I see your hands finding relief only in warm water now, soaking away a stiffness that years of manual labor slowly built into your joints. I see your hands that once confidently carved a turkey or hosted a table full of family now handing that task to someone else, the kitchen feeling a little different because of it. I see your hand gripping a cane or a walker, still adjusting to a tool you never imagined, needing a strangeness that hasn't quite worn off yet. I see your hands that once changed an oil filter or a tire without a second thought, now trusting a mechanic with work you used to simply do yourself. I see your hands resting folded across your chest during an afternoon nap that has become more necessary than it ever used to be. I see your hands reaching for reading glasses just to see clearly the very words your fingers are tracing across a page. I see your hands that once wrote beautiful, flowing cursive, settling now for simple print, because it asks less of fingers that tire more quickly than before. I see your hands folded as you watch grandchildren play a game of catch nearby, quietly wishing you could still join in the way you once did without a second thought. I see your hand gripping a walking stick on a beloved evening walk, grateful simply to still be able to go, even at a slower pace than the years before. I see your hands asking a guest to open the wine or twist open a stubborn jar. A small hospitality, once effortless, now gently passed to someone else's steadier grip. I see the faint stains still marking your hands from a lifetime hobby, soil paint, ink marks that don't fully wash away anymore, quiet evidence of years spent creating and growing. I see your hands trembling slightly as you place an offering envelope in the plate at church, your faith steadier by far than the tremor in your fingers. I see your hands resting on the armrest during a car ride that used to feel effortless, an ache settling in now after distances that never used to test you. I see your hands ringing quietly with worry over a phone call from a loved one that hasn't been returned yet, the waiting settling into your fingers as much as your mind. I see your hands scrubbing dishes at the sink, finding a strange, steady peace in the repetitive motion, even as the ache in your wrists reminds you how long the day has been. I see your hands folded to receive communion bread, feeling both unworthy and completely welcomed in the very same quiet breath. I see your hands watching from below as someone younger climbs the ladder to hang the Christmas lights you used to string up yourself without a second thought. I see your hands gripping a hymn book, a little tighter during a song that stirs both comfort and old grief in the very same verse. I see your hands resting quietly on a windowsill, watching a world outside move at a pace they can no longer quite keep up with. I see your hands finally still, at the end of a long day, and the stillness itself becoming its own quiet, wordless kind of prayer. I see your hands that once swaddled a newborn with such confident ease, moving more slowly and carefully, now with a great-grandchild, love unchanged, even as the steadiness has softened. I see your hands folded over the newspaper each morning, a quiet ritual that keeps you connected to a world that sometimes feels like it's moving on without you. I see your hands sorting a week's worth of medication into a small organizer, a task that somehow feels heavier in your chest than the pills themselves ever do. I see your hands carrying a lighter bag to church now instead of the Bible and hymnal you once held easily in one arm. The load adjusted, the devotion unchanged. I see your hands trembling with both joy and age as you embrace someone you love after time spent apart, the emotion in the hug outweighing whatever the years have taken from your grip. I see your hands tired as they are still capable of the smallest and most important task of all, reaching out simply to hold someone else's hand when they need comfort. I see your hands folded in grace before a meal, giving thanks even for the ache that came with preparing it. I see your hands taking longer each morning with something as simple as a hairbrush, a small routine that now asks more patience of you than it ever used to. I see your hands writing a birthday card weeks in advance now, because the writing itself takes longer than it once did, and you'd rather it arrive in time than arrive rushed. I see your hands resting on a pet curled quietly beside you, finding a small, steady comfort in that warmth on days the ache feels loudest. I see your hands that once raised barns, raised children, and raised an entire life out of nothing but faith and effort, now simply raised open toward heaven, asking for nothing more than rest. I see all of it, my child, every callus, every ache, every quiet act of love these hands have given without ever once being asked to. Stay with me now, because this next part is where I begin answering everything I just named in you, one tired place at a time. I am healing the stiffness that greets you before your eyes are even fully open. I am present in that very first ache, my child, gently working to soften what years of faithful use have worn one quiet morning at a time. I am healing the trembling fingers that struggle with a needle or a button. I am steadying you in those small, frustrating moments, my child. And I am not measuring your worth by how easily a button gets fastened, nor should you. I am healing the calluses earned through decades of honest labor. I see every one of them as a quiet medal, my child, evidence of a life spent giving rather than merely watching a record no photograph could ever fully capture. I am healing the tiredness that shortens a moment you wanted to hold on to a little longer with a grandchild. I am extending that love in ways beyond how long your arms can hold, my child, into every other moment you share with them, every glance, every laugh, every ordinary afternoon together. I am healing the grief of a garden you can no longer tend the way you once did. I am present in every remaining moment you spend among what you planted, my child, and I am not asking you to measure your love for it by how much kneeling you can still manage. What grows there still carries years of your faithful care. I am healing the frustration of a stubborn jar or a stiff key. I am with you in that small daily struggle, my child, and I am gently teaching you that asking for help was never a defeat. It was always simply another way these hands continue to be cared for the way they once cared for so many others. I am healing the cramp that follows a single signature. I remember every letter, every card, every note your hand ever wrote, in love, my child. And none of that labor is forgotten simply because it has grown harder now. Every word still stands exactly as meaningful as the day it was written. I am healing the ache that mixes grief with arthritis when you reach for a hand no longer there. I am holding that hand now, my child, in the space where theirs used to be. I am healing the tiredness that keeps you from cooking the way you once did for the people you love. The meals you made for decades still nourish them fully, my child, and I am not asking you to prove that love again through effort alone. I am healing the self-consciousness over the marks and scars time has left on your hands. I see every mark as part of a life well spent, my child, not a flaw to hide away, but a story worth telling. I am healing the grief over a craft or an instrument your hands can no longer move through with the same ease. I remember every note you ever played and every stitch you ever made, my child, exactly as beautifully as you first made them, note for note, stitch for stitch. I am healing the tiredness in hands folded nightly in prayer. I feel every prayer those tired hands have ever offered me. My child, and I receive each one as fully as if your hands had never grown weary at all every single night. I am healing the tension in a less steady grip on the wheel. I am present on every road you travel, my child, holding what your hands cannot always hold as firmly as they once did mile after mile. I am healing the ache in the exact places your trade once demanded most of you. I remember every task that trade ever asked of you, my child, and I honor every ounce of skill and effort it required year after year. I am healing the tension clenched quietly into your hands from worry you carry without realizing it. I am gently loosening that grip, my child, one unclenched finger at a time, breath by breath. I am healing the small indignity of struggling with a child-proof cap. I am with you in that frustrating moment too, my child, and I am not measuring your dignity by how easily a cap comes off, not even once. I am healing the frustration of fingers that no longer type or text as quickly as they used to. I am patient with every slower message you send, my child, and so is everyone who truly loves you always. I am healing the worry folded quietly into your hands through long waiting room hours. I am present in that waiting with you, my child, holding what you cannot yet know, the outcome of minute by minute. I am healing the grief of watching someone else dig the garden you once tended every spring. I am present in every plant that still grows because of years of your care, my child. Whether or not your own hands did the digging this season, this year, or any year. I am healing the adjustment of reaching for a cane or a railing you never needed before. I am your steadiness in that reach, my child, and I am not asking you to feel diminished by needing support. Support was always part of the design, my child, never a mark against you. I am healing the frustration of slow progress in physical therapy. I see every small gain, my child, even the ones too small for anyone else to notice or measure, and I celebrate each one. I am healing the need to ask for help carrying groceries or a sleepy grandchild. Asking was never a weakness, my child. It was always simply another form of the wisdom age quietly, faithfully teaches. I am healing the quiet doubt that something as ordinary as tired hands could matter to me. Nothing about you is too ordinary for my attention, my child, especially not the hands that have given so faithfully for so long, quietly, without ever once asking to be praised for it. I am healing the morning stiffness that takes longer to fade with every passing year. I am present in that lingering cold, my child, gently warming what time has slowed patiently, morning after morning. I am healing the quiet question of whether these hands have finally earned rest. Yes, my child. 1,000 times yes, without hesitation. Rest was never something you needed to earn. It was always something I wanted to give you freely, the way any father longs to give rest to a child who has worked hard enough for one lifetime. I am healing the quiet grief of a set-aside knitting basket or an unfinished blanket. What your hands already made for this family will warm them for years to come, my child, whether or not you finish one more. I am healing the shakiness that makes pouring a simple cup of coffee feel like a careful task now. I am steadying your hand in that small moment, my child, and I am not asking you to prove anything by never spilling a drop. I am healing the loss of easy fixes around the house. Calling for help was never a step down, my child. It is simply a new season of the same wisdom that once fixed every hinge and faucet yourself. I am healing the tiredness that shortens your time with a journal or a diary. I read every thought your hand manages to put down, my child, complete, or not exactly as fully as I read the ones from years ago. I am healing the exhaustion of comforting others while carrying your own grief unseen. I saw you at that funeral, my child, holding others up while quietly needing to be held yourself. I am holding you now. I am healing the frustration of a line that wavers where it used to run steady. Whatever your hand creates now, my child, still carries the same heart it always did. I am healing the need for a cart's support just to feel steady in the store. I am your true balance, my child, whether or not anyone else notices the cart doing quiet extra work. I am healing the patience it now takes to braid a granddaughter's hair. She will remember the closeness far longer than she remembers how steady your hands were, my child. I am healing the tired hands that trace a worn Bible each night by feel. I meet you in every one of those familiar words, my child, exactly as fully as I did when your hands moved more quickly across the page. I am healing the new planning it takes to pack a suitcase or ask for help lifting one. I am present in every trip. You still take, my child, however differently. Your hands now. Prepare for it. I am healing the ache of remembering a hand that once held yours through a familiar old movie. I am holding your hand now, my child, through every scene, familiar or new. I am healing the slow, careful attention a simple paring knife now requires. I am steadying your grip, my child, and I am not asking you to rush what deserves your care either way. I am healing the stiffness that settles in after a long church service. I hear every prayer you offered through that ache, my child, undiminished by tired fingers. I am healing the quiet grief of a workshop grown quiet with dust. I remember every piece your hands ever built, my child, and the honest tiredness they earned making it. I am healing the ache you soothe quietly at night with your own two hands. I am gently adding my comfort to yours, my child, so you are not the only one tending that quiet pain. I am healing the mixed relief and loss of handing a lifelong task to someone younger. What you gave that tradition for so many years still lives fully in those you passed it to, my child. I am healing the tremble in a hand that still signs with love despite the effort it costs. I feel every ounce of that love, my child, exactly as strongly as when your hand moved with ease. I am healing the tired hands that fold in gratitude even on the hardest days. That choice, my child, is one of the most beautiful offerings I receive from anyone. I am healing the tender mix of frailty and faith you feel folding your hands at communion. Both are welcome in my presence, my child, exactly as they are side by side. I am healing the quiet embarrassment over handwriting that shakes more than it used to. I read every word you write with the same love, my child, regardless of how steady the hand behind it. I am healing the tender echo of caring for a spouse the way you once cared for a newborn. That is not a burden repeating itself, my child. It is love, simply finding a new shape to take. I am healing the extra beat it now takes for your hands to catch what's falling. I am your steadiness in that missed reach, my child, and I do not measure you by a reflex alone. I am healing the dryness these hands carry after a lifetime of use. I see the nightly care you give them, my child, and I am tending what lotion alone cannot reach. I am healing the clumsiness these hands feel against an unfamiliar screen. Whatever you manage to type, my child, however slowly, still reaches the people you love exactly as it's meant to. I am healing the vulnerability of accepting help to rise from a chair. Every hand you once extended to help someone else up, my child, is being returned to you now fully and freely. I am healing the effort it costs to still reach out and shake a new friend's hand. I honor that choice deeply, my child. Connection was always worth more to me than ease. I am healing the tired hands that fold each night, praying over the names you love most. I hear every single name, my child, and I am answering that prayer even as your hands rest. I am healing the stiffness that only warm water seems to soothe now. I am present in that quiet relief, my child, gently working alongside it. I am healing the shift from hosting the table yourself to letting someone else carve the turkey. What you built around that table for so many years still gathers your family together, my child, whether or not your hands do the carving this time. I am healing the strangeness of a cane or a walker you never expected to need. I am steadying you through that adjustment, my child, one careful step at a time. I am healing the trust it takes to hand car repairs over to someone else's hands. That trust was never a loss of capability, my child. It was simply wisdom choosing its battles well. I am healing the growing need for an afternoon rest. I am present in that nap, my child, restoring you gently, in ways sleep alone cannot always reach. I am healing the extra step of reaching for reading glasses to see your own hands at work. I see clearly what you sometimes cannot, my child, and I am guiding your hands even in the blur. I am healing the quiet trade of flowing cursive for simpler print. Every word still carries your voice, my child, however plainly it's now written. I am healing the longing to join a game of catch you can only watch these days. I am present in your watching, my child, and the joy you feel for them is love, just as real as playing would be. I am healing the slower pace of a beloved evening walk. I am walking every step of it with you, my child, grateful, just as you are, that the walk is still possible at all. I am healing the small surrender of asking a guest to open what you once opened easily yourself. Hospitality was never about doing everything alone, my child. It was always about the welcome in your heart. I am healing the quiet pride behind the stains that won't wash from your hands. Those marks are a beautiful record, my child, of years spent making and growing and creating. I am healing the tremble in a hand that still gives faithfully at church. I see the size of your faith in that gift, my child, far more than I notice any tremor in the hand that gives it. I am healing the ache that settles into hands and arms on a longer car ride than they used to manage so easily. I am present in every mile, my child, however tired the journey leaves you. I am healing the ringing worry over a call not yet returned. I am present in that waiting, my child, holding both your hands and the loved one you're waiting to hear from. I am healing the tired wrists behind an evening full of dishes. I see the peace you find in that small routine, my child, and I am honoring the quiet faithfulness of it. I am healing the tension between feeling unworthy and feeling welcomed at communion. You are fully welcomed, my child, exactly as you are, tired hands and all. I am healing the wistful watching as someone else climbs the ladder you once climbed yourself. Let it be someone else's turn, my child, and let yours be the joy of watching your family carry the tradition forward. I am healing the ache and the emotion tangled together in a beloved hymn. I hold both the comfort and the grief in that song, my child, exactly as fully as you do. I am healing the quiet longing as you watch the world move faster than you can now follow. I am not asking you to keep its pace, my child. I am only asking you to walk at mine. I am healing the tired stillness at the end of a long day, and I receive it gladly, my child, as one of the most honest prayers you offer me all day. I am healing the softened steadiness of hands that once swaddled a newborn so confidently. The love that moved through them then moves through them still, my child, exactly as fully. I am healing the quiet ritual of a morning newspaper that keeps you tethered to the world. I am present in that connection too, my child. However, the world outside continues to change. I am healing the heaviness carried in sorting a week of medication. I am present in every pill counted, my child, and I am not asking you to carry the weight of it alone. I am healing the adjustment of a lighter bag carried to church now. Your devotion was never measured by what your arms could hold, my child, only by the heart that carried it there. I am healing the trembling that mixes joy with age in a long-awaited embrace. That trembling is love overflowing, my child, and I treasure it exactly as it is. I am healing every doubt about whether these tired hands still matter. They do, my child, every single time they reach out simply to hold someone else's. That is often the greatest work hands were ever made to do. I am healing the tired hands that fold in grace before every meal. I receive that gratitude fully, my child, ache and all. I am healing the patience now required for something as small as a hairbrush. I am with you in every unhurried motion, my child, and there is no shame in taking longer. I am healing the extra time it takes to write a card in advance. What arrives, however it arrives, carries exactly the love you intended, my child. I am healing the quiet comfort you find resting your hand on a beloved pet nearby. I placed that comfort there for you, my child, exactly when you needed it most. I am healing the hands that raised so much across a lifetime, now simply raised open toward heaven. That posture, my child, is the most honest prayer there is, and I meet it fully every single time. You do not have to keep proving the worth of these hands through constant labor. Isaiah 41 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." My hand, my child, holding yours, exactly as tired as it is right now tonight. If this message is bringing you comfort tonight, subscribe and share it with someone else whose hands have quietly given more than anyone around them has ever fully noticed. Maybe it is a friend from church whose hands raised a whole family and still decades later ache every single morning before anyone else in the house wakes up. Maybe it is your own parent whose hands worked a lifetime so yours would never have to work quite as hard. Maybe it is a spouse whose hands have held yours through more hard years than anyone outside your marriage will ever fully know. Send this to them tonight. Let it be the reminder that their tired hands have never once gone unnoticed by me. Maybe it is a nurse, a teacher, or a caregiver whose hands have given comfort to countless people who never learned their name. Maybe it is a widow or widower whose hands still fold each night in prayer, long after everyone else has gone quiet. This message is for them too. Let it be permission for tired hands everywhere to finally rest without guilt. Maybe it is someone who has spent this entire week caring for a sick spouse or grandchild, hands busy from morning to night with a love no one is keeping score of. Maybe it is a farmer or tradesperson whose hands built half of what your own town still stands on, hands the rest of the world walks past without a second thought. Send this to them too. Let them know that the God who counts every hair on their head also counts every callus on their hands. Stay with me a little longer here, my child, even if you're tempted to close this now, because what I want to say next is the part tired hands like yours most need to hear. You do not have to solve every ache tonight or explain to anyone why your hands feel more tired lately than they used to. Simply resting them in mine is already enough for tonight. Now, my child, let's talk honestly about the doubts that come with a weariness like this. You may think, isn't rest just another word for giving up on being useful? Rest was never the opposite of usefulness, my child. It is what makes continued usefulness possible at all. I rested on the seventh day. Myself and I called it holy, not lazy. You may think, if my hands can't do what they used to, am I still as valuable as I was before? Your worth was never measured by what your hands could accomplish, my child. It was always measured by the love that moved through them, and that love has not diminished one bit. You may think, what if I need more help now than I'm comfortable asking for? Needing help is not a failure, my child. It is simply the next chapter of a life that is already given so generously in the earlier ones. You may think, will anyone actually notice or care about hands as ordinary as mine? I notice, my child, and I care more than anyone else ever could. Every crease, every scar, every tremor is fully known and fully cherished by me. You may think, what if the ache never really gets better? Whatever your body's journey holds, my child, I promise you, my presence within it, healing what can be healed and comforting what remains every single day. You may think, isn't it selfish to focus this much attention on something as small as my own hands? Attending to your own weariness is not selfishness, my child. It is stewardship of the very body I gave you to carry out a lifetime of love. You may think, didn't I take these hands for granted for most of my life, only noticing them now that they hurt? That is simply how most gifts are received, my child, unnoticed in their strength and treasured in their weariness. I am not holding that against you. You may think, what if my hands stop being able to do the things that make me feel like myself? You are far more than what your hands can do, my child. The love, the wisdom, and the faith that moved through them all these years live in you regardless of what your hands can still manage. So today, let go of the belief that these hands must keep proving themselves through ceaseless labor. Let go of the guilt that rises when rest finally comes. Your hands have already spoken love more clearly than words ever could. Now, my child, let us pray together. Place your hand over your heart and repeat these words either out loud or quietly in your spirit. Father, tonight I bring you these tired hands. Every ache, every callus, every small frustration age has added to them. Thank you for seeing every quiet act of love they have given over the years. Heal what still hurts and help me finally rest without guilt. In your name, amen. Father, thank you for every task these hands were ever able to do, and for every season still ahead where they may need to rest more than they work. Let me trust that my worth to you has never once depended on either one. In your name, amen. And if there is one specific way your hands have been struggling lately, bring it to me now by name in your own words. Father, you already know exactly where these hands ache the most tonight, and exactly what they have grown tired of carrying. I release that weariness into your hands now, trusting you to hold what mine can no longer hold quite so easily. In your name, amen. And Father, for everyone whose hands have given quietly for a lifetime and rarely heard thank you, let them feel tonight how deeply their labor of love has been seen. In your name, amen. Father, teach me to see these tired hands the way you see them, not as a measure of what I can no longer do, but as a record of everything I have already faithfully given. Help me rest in that truth tonight. In your name, amen. Now, my child, let go. You do not have to prove anything more with these hands tonight. You do not have to hold on to every task before you're allowed to rest. Right now, you only have to breathe. I am already holding all of what feels too heavy for your hands tonight. Let your tired shoulders soften. Let your hands slowly unclench. Let your breathing slow now. In and out. Stay with me a little longer here, because what comes next is the quietest, most important part of tonight's healing. Psalm 147 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Binds up my child gently, the way a tender hand wraps around something precious and worn. Exodus 15 says, I am the Lord who heals you, every part of you, my child, including the tired, ordinary hands that have carried so much love for so long. Let your whole body grow heavy and calm. Let your breathing slow further still. In and out. I am holding the stiffness in your fingers and the ache in your knuckles. I am holding every callus, every scar, every tremor these hands have earned across a lifetime of giving. I am holding every unfinished task your hands still worry over, releasing you from carrying it all tonight. Let your mind grow quiet now, one tired thought at a time, the way a house grows quiet, room by room, until only a single soft light remains. That light is me. I am not tired of holding you even when your own hands grow tired of holding everything else. I am holding the knitting basket set aside and the workshop grown quiet with dust. I am holding the garden watched from a window and the wine bottle opened by someone else's steadier grip. I am holding the trembling offering placed faithfully in the plate and the cursive traded gently for simpler print. I am holding every hobby's fading stain still visible, still honored, still beautiful to me. I am holding the hand that reaches now for a cane and the hand that once reached only to help others rise. Both hands, my child, held equally, held completely. Rest now. You do not have to keep proving your worth through what your hands can still accomplish. You do not have to carry tomorrow's tasks in tonight's rest. Let go of the jar lid you struggled with today. Let go of the signature that ached to write. Let go of the guilt that rises when you finally sit still. I am healing your tired hands tonight. I once knelt and washed the tired feet of those I loved, my child, with my own hands. I know exactly what it means to serve until your body aches, and I am not asking anything of your hands tonight but rest. Whatever ache feels sharpest tonight, I am gently soothing it. Whatever task still worries you, I am holding it until morning. Whatever grief still lives in these hands, I am tending it patiently at exactly the pace you can bear. Whatever quiet fear you carry that these hands have grown less useful, I am gently replacing it with the truth that they were never valued for their usefulness alone. Matthew 11 says, Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Weary, my child, exactly as your hands are tonight, and rest exactly as I am offering now. Psalm 23 says, He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. Restores my child hands and soul, both gently, completely. Isaiah 40 says, He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Renewed, my child, not because the years reverse themselves, but because my strength was never dependent on your own. Jeremiah 31 says, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. Refresh, my child, exactly the word your tired hands have been waiting to hear. Let every stiff knuckle rest tonight, unhurried, unjudged, exactly as tired as it has earned the right to be. Let every unfinished task your hands set down today rest quietly until morning, waiting without complaint for whenever you're ready again. Let every small grief over what these hands can no longer do rest tonight, held gently without needing to be solved before you sleep. Let every callus rest tonight, sufficient and honored, needing nothing more to prove. Let every ache rest tonight, held fully in me, needing no explanation to anyone. Let every task your hands still worry over rest tonight, Set down gently until morning finds you rested enough to lift it again. I am with you, my child. I have held these hands of yours since the very first day they were formed, and I will hold them through every year still to come. Sleep now, beloved child. You are not required to keep working to earn the rest I am already giving you freely. You are only asked to trust the one who has never once been too tired to hold you. If a worry returns tonight wanting your hands to reach for one more task, let it come and go gently like a wave, arriving and receding on its own without needing you to chase it back out to sea. You do not have to fight every restless thought that visits your tired hands tonight. You only have to notice it and hand it to me again, as many times as it takes. Every callus you carry I honor completely. Every ache in your knuckles I am gently soothing. Every task your hands have quietly done out of love I remember fully, and I am deeply grateful for every one of them. You were never meant to carry the weight of endless labor alone. You were only ever meant to carry today's work, and even that with my strength beside you. Let the unreturned phone call rest quietly tonight, held safely in me until an answer comes. Let the ladder someone else climbed rest quietly tonight, its work already finished, its purpose already served. Let the hymn that stirred both comfort and grief rest quietly tonight, both feelings equally welcome, equally understood. Let the world outside your window keep moving at its own pace tonight, while you rest fully at mine. 2 Timothy 4 says, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Fought and finished, my child, exactly the way your own tired hands have fought and given faithfully for so many years. Let your hands stay open tonight. Let your heart stay soft tonight. Let your spirit trust even in the tiredness that I am healing what feels worn beyond repair. I am healing your tired hands tonight and every night after this one. I washed feet with these same hands of mine, and I am washing away the weariness from yours with that very same tender love. You do not have to wake tomorrow with every ache already gone. Each morning I offer you the same gentle invitation to rest a little more, to labor a little lighter, to trust a little deeper, that these hands have already given more than enough. I am healing your tired hands tonight, tomorrow, and every day still ahead of you. Whatever your hands built, whatever they held, whatever they gave quietly across all these years, I remember every bit of it, completely forever. Sleep now, beloved child. You are safe in my hands tonight exactly as you are tired hands, and all held completely in mine. Rest now and let me hold what these tired hands can finally set down tonight.